Hi Mouse Diners and hello Facebook. My name's Dustin. I'm a co-founder here at Mouse Dining, and today I'm bringing you a service update via video for the very first time. So today's service update is actually already live. We pushed this change live yesterday, and I monitored it through the evening and then the earlier today, and everything looks great. So what I want to talk to you about is what these changes did and why they were necessary. So the change, most of our savvy users will know, or if you're reading the text below here, is that we changed our texts domestically in the US to come from a new toll-free number. Previously, they were coming from a local number, and that number was beginning to be scrutinized and limited in several ways just as we have grown. And Mouse Dining has grown a lot, specifically the last 2 months with spring break and summer on the horizon. We've got a lot of interest and a lot of need for our services. Frankly, I think it's mostly due to the limited hours and people that are allowed on the parks, as well as not all restaurants are open and available. And just everybody's kind of pent up, ready to get out, right? So anyway, huge spike in interest in Mouse Dining, and just over the last month and a half or so, we've really seen some of our services struggle. And so this update yesterday improved that two ways. First, it eliminated the throughput problem. So what would happen before is, as Mouse Dining interest had grown, we're sending out so many texts now that oftentimes the service we were using was unable to keep up. And so it would build up a line or a queue of messages to just waiting to be sent. And sometimes that queue would get to hundreds or even thousands of messages deep, which means time was passing from the time we saw the dining reservation to when you were actually notified. And for that, I apologize. I saw that as soon as I discovered that. I found a new partner that could help us resolve that, and that's what helped us make the switch today. So that's no longer an issue. The throughput is not a problem. We went from being able to send 10 to 15 messages a minute to now over 600. Now, I don't think we'll ever come close to having to send 600 a minute, but we've at least got a really high ceiling before we run into any more problems. Secondly, the number that we were using was a local number. It's local to Georgia, where Mouse Dining is located. But migrating to a toll-free number really eliminated a lot of the scrutiny that is coming down on local numbers recently. So like me, you've probably received a whole bunch of text spam in the last few months. Well, carriers don't like it either, and so they're trying to put a stop to that. And their manner of putting a stop to that is just really monitoring and looking and filtering messages that they think are identified as spam and those that are not. And that's a hard job. I mean, Google does it with your mail, Microsoft does it with your mail. Any of your email services are always trying to combat the same thing. And it's a hard task. You end up getting a lot of false positives. And I feel like Mouse Dining was getting caught in that a lot. Just as our volume increased, it became maybe a little suspicious to some carriers, and so they really started questioning, like, are these legitimate? Are they not? And I think in some cases they were just kind of getting flagged and either delayed by quite a bit or even blocked altogether. So. But moving to a 1-800 number resolves that, because I put my business information in when I purchased that 1-800 number. And quite frankly, I was interviewed and had to provide a use case for how we were going to use that number before they would even let us use that number for what we use it for. So I've already presented to them my use case. They approved it, and we negotiated a deal, and we're good. And so we finished that update, and that went live yesterday. And so one, I just wanted to warn you, hey, text messages in the US and Canada are going to come from a different number. And they'll fall back to some of the old systems we had if that ever has a problem. But again, I looked at everything last night and everything looks great. And if you're international, it's not affecting you nearly as much, because one, I don't think there's not yet the international interest in getting back to Disney. I think the desire is there, but I think there's still a lot of travel restrictions between countries and entities. So that'll still probably have to play out, but those remain unchanged because toll-free numbers are really only good in North America. So with that, that's what I wanted to update you today. That's what's changed. I'm excited to report that is done. I'm excited for what's to come, and we've got a lot more coming. So on that note, there'll be an email next week that I'll send that will have a survey in it. Please open that. Please read it and fill out the survey. That really helps us prioritize, helps me prioritize where we spend and where I spend resources to build out the next thing, to fix the biggest problems that'll make the biggest change and make the biggest improvements. And there'll be some teases in there for some other stuff we've actually got going on that I think many of you will find interesting. So those are kind of an annual thing, and I really enjoy doing those because those are super useful. And I will tell you in the survey, and I tell you now, I read every single one of those, and it takes a long time, but I value your feedback enough that I take the time to do that. So with that, I'll finish this video. Please, if you enjoy this, like it, share it, comment it, interact with it in some way, because we use that information and those analytics to really understand what we need to do more of and what we should do less of on both a social media and content perspective. So if you see us on our socials, do the same. If you prefer to spend time there or like the content you do there, do the same. We do look at that with my team every week or two, and it really does guide decisions. The last thing I will mention is we want to do a lot more with video, so I actually just created a YouTube channel, brand new. I think it has one video on it today, but if you go and subscribe to that, as we publish more videos on that channel, which we will, you'll be the first to be notified when those go live, and you can go check those out. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. I hope you have a magical day, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.